Hey everyone, it's Brian, aka Kingston Handball, coming at you before the podcast. First off, I just want to say thank you for all the support I've been getting from the first podcast. I really appreciate it. A lot of people that I've been sending it out to, friends and family. They seem to have really enjoyed it, so thank you very much. I'm getting some better equipment, so hopefully this will sound better. Still working out the bugs, so to speak. As a matter of fact, I recorded another episode with my best friend Jacob. But the external hard drive that I used to save the first part of that recording stopped working, and I couldn't get it to work again. Pretty much that whole episode and another couple things are lost forever. So who knows if that episode would ever see the light of day. The other two parts that I still have, but for sure I'm going to have Jacob on in the future, and I guess it's for the best because he actually confessed to me when we started recording the second half of it that he had forgotten, but he actually had seen this movie. It wasn't until he saw a character that he was like, oh yeah, I've seen this movie. And I was like, well, that kind of ruins the premise, buddy. Thank you for that, Jacob. Shout out to Jacob, the homie. Shout out to Mariscos Camarena. Anyways, one other thing before we get into this episode. On the first episode, I mentioned that Andy Kaufman wrote The Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, an adaptation, but it was actually Charlie Kaufman, not Andy Kaufman. Andy Kaufman is a comedian. The subject matter of that movie, Man on the Moon, starring Jim Carrey, which is a really good movie. And on this episode, you will get to hear my friend geek out in the best way possible. And I just want you guys to see if you can tell which one of us has a professional mic setup. I'm sure the answer will shock you. Okay, that's all for now, guys. So enjoy this episode, this second episode on the 1984 classic, Runaway. By the way, I've been recording for like the past 10 minutes. So everything you said, all about the stuff you said about Donald Trump is
all about Donald Trump.
Yeah,
It's out.
It's out there. It's out there. It's out there in the world, Patrick. Alrighty then. Well, welcome everybody to this. I don't know what I'm going to call this. Either the second episode or the third episode, because technically, I recorded an intro with my friend Jacob, but he's getting his pilot's license, so he actually couldn't record the last part of it. So I just recorded the beginning, and he was like, or he got there late, and then I had to go, so we couldn't do the other part. But anyways, welcome to this second or third episode of Friends. Oh gosh, what's the title, Patrick? Do you remember? Let's see.
Nostalgia.
Yeah, mystery movie nostalgia with family and friends. Everybody, thank you. I've made it to another episode. I actually haven't gotten bored of this. It's taking so much of my energy and technology and my limited amount of knowledge of technology to start recording this. But and that friend that you hear is Patrick. What's up, Pat?
What up, everybody? What's up, Brian?
Hello. Even though we've been talking for about 45 minutes, but hello.
Well, now that I'm properly introduced.
Yeah, now that you're properly introduced, Patrick. Right? Yeah. We did our beta test, so to speak, with Patrick, and it came out okay, I guess.
Okay, I guess I'm good with that.
Yeah, okay is what we aim for, I guess.
All right, that bad.
That wasn't that bad. So
it was like a pilot, or
like a proof of concept that we sent to like the networks. I sent it to all the networks. I haven't heard back, but I heard Quibi is making a return, and hopefully they'll pick it up, so you can watch it vertically. So Patrick,
that was the worst.
Yeah, that was the worst. Dude, they lost so much money, bro. They lost so much money out of that thing.
Okay, but see, here's the thing, though. Okay, because it's like 30 seconds into this, I'm already going on to a tangent, right? Like, is it really because it's vertical? Because I mean, TikTok kind of forces you to do everything vertically, right? And Instagram does too, which is the primary reason why I hate Instagram. Because
you're a purist. You're a purist.
My eyes are horizontal.
You're like, I need that 16 by 9. 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 I need that 3,
Yeah,
4.
It's 16:9 ratio, not 9:16, right? So
Yeah. Okay. There you go. But anyways, we're still waiting to hear back from them. Probably not. Maybe Univision will pick it up or TV Azteca.
I'm done with that.
Okay. Yes. You know, actually, I was thinking about doing maybe one in Spanish, but it would have to be with somebody from. I have my friend from Mexico. I mean, he speaks English, but he'd probably be more comfortable in Spanish. It would just depend on
I remember
what movie I would have to. And also, I was thinking like maybe I could do one in French and Italian. French, it would be a little bit difficult. Italian, like I forgot all my Italian. Like I'm like buongiorno.
and it would have to be Life is Beautiful.
It would. Yeah, honestly, I do have that movie, and I don't know who hasn't seen that movie. That's such a. I mean, it's a popular movie, but it's not a movie that people still talk about. You know,
Right?
like it had its run in like the 90s when he won all the Academy Awards, and I think he won. Did he win Best Picture for that?
I have no idea.
And then he like got on stage and he kissed Halle Berry or whatever. Was it? No, that was somebody else. That was Adrian Brody. Anyways, so Pat, the movie we are going to watch today, I know you haven't seen, but I know you've heard of it because I mentioned it to you when I was thinking about starting this podcast. Do you remember what the name of the movie is?
I don't remember. I remember you mentioned it to me, but that's as far as that goes. I have no idea what's about to happen.
What's about to happen?
So excited.
Alrighty then. So the movie is called Runaway. And it's from 1984, and I picked this movie especially for you, and I'll tell you why. Ooh. So back in the day, do you remember when, obviously when we had cable, like back in the day, when I think it was in the mid-90s when it barely started, and you only had like one cable provider for the entire city, and you were just stuck with that. So my dad, he could only afford HBO. Way to go, Dad. He couldn't afford Showtime. So this movie was on HBO all the time. And it was like one of a couple handful of movies that were on rotation. So it was this one. What other movie? Blank Man, Mannequin, Beverly Hills Cop, and then Weekend at Bernie's. Those were like the movies that were like on repeat.
Wow.
On this.
Okay.
And we had, I don't know what they had in California, but in Texas it was Paragon. In San Antonio it was Paragon. That was our cable provider, which I think eventually became like, got bought up by AT&T like everything else did. So... And you know what's funny? Me and my sister would watch this. We would watch it together. And so I'm actually going to insert a clip. I actually recorded her without spoiling the movie. I'll put it in the edit of her talking about this movie.
Oh my goodness. So Runaway. Wow, that is a movie I haven't seen in so long. But we used to watch it all the time as kids. And it's embarrassing to say that up until I don't know, maybe a few years ago, I realized that the villain in the story was. I mean, it's so obvious when you think about it, but I don't know, I just hadn't connected the dots. But that movie was entertaining and like creepy at the same time because it deals with Tom Selleck's like fear of heights. And yeah, it's such an entertaining movie. I'm jealous that you're gonna do that movie with someone else, but I'll have to watch it and take a trip down memory lane.
So like I said, it's Runaway. It's directed by Michael Crichton.
Ooh,
yeah.
I'm in already. Okay. You sold me.
Okay. All right. Speed round, Patrick. Name off Michael Crichton things. Jurassic Park.
Yes. Congo.
Westworld.
Andromeda Strain.
Dang it, that was my next one. Twister. Twister.
We just did
that one.
Okay. All right. Terminal Man.
Timeline.
Prey.
Sphere. And I think I tapped out after. I'm sure he did a bunch of stuff. Did you say Westworld?
I did not. No.
Westworld.
Wait. Did you? No, you didn't.
I don't know if I did. I don't know.
I think you did.
Oh, God, dang it.
But it's okay. Hang on. I don't want to lose this. But I think I tapped out.
I tapped out too, bro. I'm sure he did like a commercial or something. That commercial he did.
Jurassic Park 2.
Technically, yes, he wrote the script. So did you know about that? No. That they actually started writing the book before, like for the purpose of making the screenplay.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so before the first
Because
book,
it sold so well.
it sold so well. Before the first book was even done, Steven Spielberg knew that it was going to be like a good book or whatever. Which I've argued that it's not that great of a book. There's a lot of diagrams in it, bro. And it's just like, but whatever. That's a podcast. That's a different podcast.
I love diagrams.
Well, of course you do, Patrick. And so, like, Spielberg actually bought the rights before the movie came out. I mean, before the book even came out. So Michael Crichton was writing the first Jurassic Park movie, and he bought the rights before it was even finished. And then before the screenplay was even done for the second, I think they were writing the screenplay and the book like simultaneously.
Wow.
Something crazy like
that's
that.
impressive.
So, like, I mean,
that's not easy to do.
That's not easy to do, but also like all the things that we did, like that we doing the speed round, he did so many things, bro. With writer, director, screenplay, producer, and stuff like that. So he has a very huge IMDb.
Most of them are movies, and most of them, from what I understand, they're straight to stream kind of films.
Yeah,
like I think Andromeda Strain came out a couple years back. I didn't get to watch it. I simply just forgot because I would have loved to have watched it. But I know that most of them didn't quite hit the movie theaters.
Yeah, the first Westworld came out in the 70s, and the only reason I know that is because another channel that reviews movies called Mr. Sunday Movies, they have a series called Caravan of Garbage, and they reviewed that movie, and it was pretty atrocious, bro. the OG Westworld. Yeah. So this movie stars one Tom Selleck, Magnum PI, as we all know him.
Okay.
It also stars Kirstie Alley from Cheers and Look Who's Talking. And see if you remember this name, because I don't know this name. I know who he is, but if you told me this, this is actor G.W. Bailey. Does that ring a bell?
No.
So this guy was he was big in the 80s. He was the chief in all the Police Academy movies. I don't know if you've ever seen those. Okay, and then he's the chief here. And I think he also came out of the movie Mannequin. And it stars Samantha Rhodes. She came out in Flashdance, I believe. And then the son, Tom Selleck's son in this movie, Joey Kramer, he was in a lot of the 80s movies, like a kid star. He was in Flight of the Navigator and A Never Ending Story from the 80s and 90s. And there's one other person that's in this movie, and I'm not going to spoil it because I want to see if you recognize who this person is. So, just a short summary.
Be like Tom Hanks or something, or
no?
Can I guess?
It's going to be a famous person.
Okay,
but I think you'll recognize who it is.
Can I take a guess?
Yes.
Wait. Okay, give me a clue.
Someone who is, I would say, a musician and loves music. I would hope that you would recognize him.
Is it gonna be like Michael Jackson in Men in Black?
No, it's not. It's not even a cameo. Like, this person is a main character.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So you'll see him like pretty.
He's got acting. Okay. All right. Okay. I got one. Okay. Flea.
Ooh,
he's been in a lot of movies.
He's been in a lot of movies. I was thinking about, what was the movie I was thinking? So he was in Back to the Future.
Yeah.
He was in the movie. There's this movie called The Chase with Charlie Sheen and Christy Swanson, I believe. And he comes out in this, and he basically plays Needles. Like, it's the same character.
Yeah, that's so funny.
All right, so just a spoiler-free review of this movie. So, like I said, this movie stars Mr. Blue Blood himself, Thomas William Selleck, as Sergeant Jack Ramsey, who is assigned to the police division in LA, I believe, and he's dealing with robots, specifically runaway robots. See? That's where they get the name. Oh my God, he said the title of the movie. So runaway robots is basically like robots that have gone like haywire,
rogue,
okay. Basically. Two things that we're going to watch out with this movie is, one, all the technology that's in this movie, or the what they thought the technology would be like in the future. Now, if I remember correctly, this in watching the trailer, because I did a little bit of research, I think the trailer said it's supposed to be in the near future, but something in the movie indicates that it was 1984. So that's one thing we're going to try to figure out, like if it actually was in the future or was it in 1984? Okay. So
what was the release year of this movie?
1984.
Oh.
So it said like in the near future. So it was like, is it an alternate 1984? Is it supposed to be actually in the future and they just messed up? So we'll see like what our conclusion is at the end of the movie. All right, so some of the themes of this movie, or like issues that it tackles, is like man versus man, AI, new and innovative technologies being used like for crime or nefarious, purposes, and also how those law enforcements deal with those emerging technologies. All right, Patty. So
this sounds compelling.
yeah. I think I made it more compelling than it actually is, but
that's all right. I'm in for it.
All right, dude. So ready to watch this, bro? What are you feeling going there, buddy?
Okay, so right now you've hit all the strong points, right? Like computer, futuristic tech.
Yeah.
The big gun that you pulled on me was Michael Crichton. So
yep, that's why I chose it for you, bro.
Excited. That's why I chose it for you. Yeah.
I forgot.
And a possibility of Flea. I don't know.
We'll see.
Beatles.
Yeah,
Beatles in there.
Maybe somebody from Led Zeppelin or the Stones or Pink Floyd. Who knows? Because all those people have come out in movies. Actually, one question I forgot to ask, which I asked my the other two people that I recorded with. What are some of your favorite movies
of all time?
Yeah, for you.
Is there a specific subgenre that you're looking for?
Let's go with technology movies. Movies like this. That would be sci-fi.
Okay, sci-fi films. Okay, I think that if you're gonna go sci-fi, I can't not include Back to the Future.
Okay, yeah, that's sci-fi and through.
It's and I especially love the second one just because of the complexities of it, of having to go back in time to fix the future. So like all that stuff, like it just makes it very compelling, and that's what makes a really good sci-fi film for me.
Yep,
so
that's a good one.
With Back to the Future.
Back to the Future.
Let's see other sci-fi films. I mean, can I include Star Wars? Is that kind of?
Yeah, I was thinking that. Would you say that's sci-fi or fantasy? Sci-fi, fantasy, probably. I think it if it's not straight up sci-fi,
both points.
It strikes enough in both that it I think it jumps to sci-fi. Yeah.
Right.
Star Wars. What about?
I think they've been more sci-fi, and then recently they've been making it more fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sci-fi films.
The Matrix. Big fan of those or no?
Oh. That okay. I can't believe I didn't think about that one because that one is like on my top 10 also, or top.
Okay, so you and I have the both like just in general. I know you hate this movie, but The Dark Knight is one of my favorites. But then after that, Star Wars is number one, and I think The Matrix would be number two for me.
Yeah, The Matrix is really, really good. Yeah,
like I think that.
But why would you consider Dark Knight as a sci-fi film?
No, it's not a sci-fi.
I wouldn't.
No, it's
just a favorite movie.
Just a favorite movie. Yeah, those would be my three. I would think.
Gotcha.
Empire Strikes Back, then The Matrix 1, then The Dark Knight. Now, if you wanted to include the franchise, I would put those in the same tier: Star Wars, Matrix, and then the Nolan Batman movies. But I digress.
Moving on to Runaway.
Yeah, speaking of Runaway, we were running away with
Runaway. Yeah,
we were running away with other issues. We're gonna be here all day. Alrighty then, bro. You ready to watch this movie?
I am ready to.
All right, let's do this. We'll be back, guys. This is the outro music for this. Ta 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 ta. We're gonna go watch the movie. We're gonna watch the movie. Patrick, you can chime in anytime you want. We're gonna go watch the movie. Da da da. Dude, this is a really long kiss scene. Considering he has like
he has acid in his face.
Acid in his face.
Yeah, I have acid in my face.
There's absolutely no inkling, like there's no chemistry between them romantically. Like as partners, yeah, but romantically, no, none whatsoever. Forced it. It's forced.
Well, didn't she insinuate earlier that she wanted to take him out, but he just
he didn't get it. But even then, I mean, there was no there was no chemistry, bro. It was forced. Well, Patrick, we finished the movie. We're watching the end credits now. It's a really, really long kiss scene.
Yeah,
and there's sparks.
There's still literal sparks flying all over them.
It's been about like, a minute or a minute and a half already.
There's still.
It's literally still going, guys.
There's still a lot of sparks going down, flying everywhere. And
it's still
he still has acid in his face.
Now they're rolling the credits of the cast.
I'm hoping that the lip balm that she uses will offset all the acid.
That is a very slow fade out. Jeez.
Oh, okay. It just ended.
Oh, finally. Good Lord.
Yeah.
Oh, that soundtrack. Dun, 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 dun,
Oh yeah, I love it. That's such a like a '90s like side scroller brawler.
yeah, dude. 80s,
And the-
80s like
yeah.
synth pop. It's
Synth. Yeah, it's great.
the composer. I forget. I'll look up who it is, but he's getting underpaid, is what I'm saying. Like he deserved every penny of that money.
Mm.
All right, Patrick. So what did you think of this movie Runaway?
Okay. Yeah, there's
We were watching the movie. You were like, I could hear the keyboard, like when you were like something happened. You're like, what? And then I would hear like the your keyboard, like writing down, like.
yeah, because I'm like writing notes right as the movie's happening.
But it's funny because you're like, oh,
and then I'm
what?
like, what? So the first line that I wrote
Okay.
is Gene Simmons.
Gene
With a lot
freaking
of exclamation
Simmons.
points. It's like,
So it was a little bit ruined because his name comes in the opening credits, but you were saying that you wouldn't
Yeah,
have noticed
I
it.
guess so.
You wouldn't have noticed it was him.
no, I don't think I would have because, okay, so obviously I know Gene Simmons as the demon, right?
Yeah.
But outside of the makeup, I'm only familiar with the way he looks like outside of makeup now that he's older.
Now, okay, not and I think he's had some work done too, but not in the 90s, 80s, right?
Not in the 80s.
Not in peak
you know,
Simmons.
like he was getting big with Kiss.
Yeah.
And I don't think that I've ever really seen footage or imagery of him while he was not wearing the makeup.
Did you like? I mean, it for me, it's one of those movies. It's like I would say the main thing about it is it's super funny.
Yeah.
And there's like, but it's not meant to be funny. I think
Right.
Tom Selleck is playing it straight. He's like,
Yes, he is.
he's like a no nonsense
for it.
cop, sergeant running this thing, and it's like he's playing it so straight. And there's like funny bits in the movie, but they're not intentionally funny.
Right. And a lot of like, I wouldn't say the inconsistencies, but I think they're just trying to oversell the danger of these robots. Right. So right off the bat, they're getting called into that one runaway that
The farm, right?
is there. Yeah, it's an agricultural robot. Right. And so they're running after this robot. This robot is leaving these zigzag tracks. But these zigzag tracks are the size of like when I saw the woman running into it, like she took like 5 steps across the
path.
the path, right? And so obviously this is something that was set by like a bulldozer, but then when you're looking at the actual robot,
Yeah.
it's only like 1-2 feet high.
It looks like
And, like,
Wall-E.
one
The
foot
road looks
across.
like Wall-E without a head.
Yeah, it's this very, very small robot leaving these huge, gigantic trails. It did not make any sense. So.
So, like you said, the first we're introduced to Ramses in the beginning. He works for this division, the Runaway Robot Division, and in that scene, he's introduced to his new partner, Karen. They go to
Correct.
that's the first mission they have, and on the way there, he asked for a chopper, and I knew the moment they said it, like, oh, when he was in there, he was afraid of heights. I was like, okay, this is gonna come back 100% in the movie, like in the last scene or some critical point in the movie where he's gonna like have to face his fear of heights, which seems kind of strange for a cop that like has to deal with robots and goes to high-rise buildings like all the time. Even so, I think it's the third or the second mission that they go to or call. It's in a high-rise building, and he lets Karen go out because he's like, nah, I'm good. I don't want to do
Yeah,
this.
that's the third one. I think the third one. Yeah, I actually thought that he was gonna break the fourth wall because for a moment there,
Really?
they had because
He kind of looks at the camera or what?
he looked straight into the camera and he held it there for like a
Really?
good 10 seconds, and then he kind of like looks away, and then she goes, "What's wrong?" He goes, "Oh, I'm afraid of heights." And I totally thought that he was gonna give some sort of line or something because it was very obvious that he was looking at the camera and at the.
But that's hilarious. So like he's completely spiked the camera, and they just left it in.
Yeah, they left it in, right? Yeah.
So then the second call that they go to is at a house where there's a robot that has killed I believe, a mom and the sister, and there's a
Correct.
baby inside, and the robot's basically holding the baby in hostage, and they're trying to rescue the baby. But as I was watching this, I was like, this is such a common thing that happens in this universe where the robots run away, that it's sensationalized in the media, and a TV reporter is right there as it happens, and they know the sergeant's name, and they're like trying to get interviews. And I'm like, these robots are crappy that they have this happens to the robots all the dang time, that they actually have to have a division like to do this, a police division to like take care.
I have an issue with this division. I
Okay.
understand dangerous robots, right?
Yes.
Or dangerous situations. Like
I believe
the
they're
second
called
call, right?
runaway robots, Patrick. They say runaway like 100 times in this movie.
Okay, let me rephrase. Potentially dangerous
But
robots, right? Like robots in construction sites,
Yeah.
things like that are meant to be, that could pose a potential danger
Yeah.
to humans. But okay, so the first one, okay, call number one, runaway number one.
Yeah.
Their solution was to literally jump on top of it. The both of them, they
Yep.
both dove into it, and it blew up. Somehow they came out of that.
And then the farmers were like, we could have just done that.
Right? Okay, the second call, I completely understand, right? So I have my own issues with that scene, but I completely understand. It was a robot, it had a gun, and it was a dangerous situation, and they had to call a specialized unit to take care of this robot. I completely understand this. The third one, okay?
Oh, the third one was
construction-
ridiculous.
The construction site.
Yeah.
They show up and he goes, why don't you do it? Oh, our insurance doesn't cover that. Okay, so he sends Karen to go up there, and she literally walks up to it and flips a switch.
Flip a switch within like a second.
Do you need a specialized unit to walk up to a robot and flip a switch? What is this?
And you know what the funny part about that is too? You were mentioning the insurance, that the lady was like, "Oh, we have another robot site that has no workers," and it's like no dealing with labor, no dealing with union, and then she's all worried about the insurance. It's like it's the same problem.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go.
I'm not gonna go up there. I need to call my floor manager, my union rep. It's like okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna back up here. I'm gonna back
go
up to
for
the
it.
second call.
Yes,
right?
yes. Let's go back to the
Okay.
second call.
Okay, the second runaway. So this robot had killed 2 people already. The baby was inside, held hostage apparently.
I guess so.
But the robot doesn't quite say. Oh no! Wait, you know what? I just put the pieces together. So the robot was programmatically modified to murder everyone in the room.
Yeah, hold on. Give me 1 second. I just realized the fan is on.
Okay.
It's just a flick of the switch. I don't need to call the
Do
runaway.
you need to call the runaway unit?
Just a switch. All right, go for it, buddy.
Serious, you have to
Yeah,
think about these things.
I gotta call me on my own budsman from Moshe. All right, go for
There
it.
you go. All right, so to backtrack to the second runaway,
Yeah,
this robot had killed 2 people, held the baby hostage.
yep.
Okay, so Tom Selleck's character runs in there. A cameraman
Runs
from
in
the
there
local news network runs in there also. He gets shot and killed.
immediately,
Now,
basically.
obviously, which is really funny because Tom Selleck then checks his pulse and he goes, "Duh." You can see it in his face, like, what an idiot.
Yeah.
What did he- what did he-
or maybe it was like, oh god, another one. I told these guys to stay out of my crime scene.
right? Okay, first of all, he takes out the robot with the laser, which is actually a really interesting concept because this is now a de facto way or a new method of taking out drones
Yeah, with lasers.
in the military,
Mm-hmm.
where they now use a super high powered laser to take out the circuitry within the drones, and then they drop out of the sky. Which
Okay.
is really interesting. So seeing that, I'm like, oh, that's actually a good representation of modern technology that
Yeah.
I guess back then would only be something that they couldn't
Science fiction, yeah.
and not the sci-fi back then. Now it's fiction.
Yeah, it goes back to those fundamental rules of sci-fi. You know, what is it? I'll put it in if I remember, but it's like any new technology seems like witchcraft or something to people who don't understand it.
Oh, witchcraft is science that's not understood yet.
Yeah,
something along those
And
lines.
so you were talking about the drones in that scene. They have a floater, which is basically a drone.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Yes, they did.
So I thought it was that.
It had the propeller,
And it had a camera, and the crew wanted to see if they can tap into the feed to show it on the news. So they found out that robot has a gun somehow.
Yes.
What is it, like a 20? Did they say 22 Magnum or something like that, or 44?
Yes. Okay. It was a hand cannon.
It was a hand cannon, bro. You could hear like a.
All right. So that all happens. He takes out the robot. Now, any police officer would know that the very first thing that you do, even if, let's say, a perpetrator or somebody that is holding a any form of weapon or arm, is to disarm them.
Yeah.
So the first thing that he should have done is
grab the gun,
kick the gun out of the hand of the robot. But instead, he walked over the robot to look for the switch.
Oh, dang.
Which means that at any point, gun could have just looked up and he would have pulled the trigger.
That's hilarious.
That's it for him, but no. Okay. Which then leads to my next
Okay, go first.
He then runs out of the house, out of the building, right? With the baby. Everyone celebrates. Yeah, he did it. He pulled the baby out of the building. Great. The newscaster was there and nobody questioned, hey,
oh my gosh,
the camera guy.
Where's the camera guy? I didn't even notice that.
Like, how come you're the only one that walked out of the house? Like,
not even the reporter. Not even the reporter that was
the
with
reporter was clearly in the background and she seemed very irritated, but clearly
I can't get the shot anymore because the guy's dead. It's like, where's my camera? I was like, oh, got another one.
She wasn't worried. She didn't run up to him and be like, what happened? You didn't die. Nothing like that, you know? And okay, that's actually a good point. She probably got the live feed, right?
Maybe. At that point, yeah, she was probably watching the cameraman's feed. And she's like, I can't get the shot anymore. So at that point, a little bit in the between the scene, they talk to the husband. He's there. And he's like, oh, I didn't modify. They asked him if they modified the robot. He's like, no, I didn't. And then they're like, do you have another gun? And he's like, he gave him a gun? That guy's a maniac. And you're like, and then at that point, you're kind of like thinking, oh, okay, it didn't go rogue by itself. Like somebody did that to it. And then basically the husband or the dad just like goes crazy and runs away. And he runs away. He's another runaway.
He's the scene of the crime.
He's another runaway.
He didn't even go protect me or anything like that.
Or even like think about his kid. He's just like, oh my God. He's like, that guy's crazy. And he just leaves. And Tom Selleck even asks like, where's the dad? And she's like, oh, I don't know. He just left.
Yes, he left. He left? Yeah, that's right.
So at that point, I think it cuts to a scene and we're introduced to Luther, if I'm not mistaken. Gene Simmons. And he is a scientist that works at a lab or something. I didn't really catch what he was doing.
You know?
But the point wasn't
clear to me.
That wasn't clear to me either, yeah.
What was his objective?
What was his
He
objective?
killed the guy.
I mean, other than we understand from clues and later on in the movie that it says that he forces these two engineers to make these ballistic chips for these ballistic missiles that heat seek a person, and they lock onto your specific heat signature, and they make it seem like this technology can like bring down civilizations. But I dare say that not really, because they weren't really that effective, these ballistic bullets. They didn't get Tom Selleck at all. Like he outran them.
Okay.
Several times.
So he shot two of them towards the father of the child, right?
So then the cops eventually catch up to the father, and then that's where they find Gene Simmons for the first time.
Right, which is interesting because the first one ignored Karen.
Mm-hmm.
right? It went after Karen. No,
It went after the
it went after
dad.
Tom Selleck. It went after Tom Selleck.
Selleck?
It followed him. It didn't follow that guy.
It just like ricocheted off of him or something, or like it kind of like
No, it followed Tom Selleck, and then Tom Selleck dove down and
it hit the dad.
it hit something else, right?
Uh-huh.
Then he shot the second round. The second round then chased Karen, went past Karen, then made a 180-degree turn
Okay.
to go and hit the guy in the back.
So these bullets are not really that effective.
They're not reliable.
They're not reliable. And then so then later on in the movie where they figure out like, oh, how does these work? And then they figure out it's a heat signature. The cop, he's like, this kid, like, this is technology. Oh, he says like, we were worried about them getting A-bombs. We should be worried about this. And I'm like, no, you shouldn't. You shouldn't be worried about this at all. You can just like, juke it, bob and weave, and you'll miss it. It's zigzag pattern.
No. Yeah, although I could see the potential if they're locked onto like police heat signatures.
Maybe like if you know the individual cop, like
Right.
heat signature.
Right. But then that doesn't make sense either. You can't.
I didn't get that.
Flares work.
I didn't get that either because it's like I don't think people have that unique of a heat signature that it would be like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And your body temperature fluctuates.
Yeah. So like if you're in a freezer or like you're cold outside or it's hot outside, it's gonna fluctuate. Or you have a fever or
Right.
something.
Right. Which is why Karen should have gotten it along, in that scene. Right?
Yeah.
This is the exact premise why flares work.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? Because a heat-seeking missile will
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
get confused.
Get
right?
confused.
With a flare.
You're locking onto like, let's say a fighter jet, the heat from the engine, and it just those flares, and it's like it searches for that. It searches for the
nearest
heat signature.
The heat signature, correct? Or the strongest.
Yeah, the
right?
strongest. Yeah. And so then after that scene, we're introduced to Jackie, which is Luther's girlfriend. She's a secretary at that company that makes those chips. Now, he coerces her to get him the templates for the chips so he can mass produce these things. And so we're introduced to her that she is in a situation with another runaway robot, and they make it seem very dangerous, but all it does is like shock you, and it's like not even that strong. And I'm like, just run. Just the thing doesn't.
Yeah.
You see the robot, and it's like moving at like a mile per hour, and like just run.
That's true because they did mention that it didn't affect vitals.
Yeah, no.
Right?
He's like, you should be fine.
It cause cardiac arrest.
I think it says like it's set to stun.
Power through it.
I think it said to stun, and that's why when Tom Selleck goes in there because he like trying to oppress her, that it knocks him to the ground. But he's fine. Like he's perfectly fine. 100%, Patrick. You're right. These robots don't seem that dangerous. Like really,
no, they don't. Okay, which then leads me to the little spider robots.
The little spider robots are so cute.
The little dancing spider robots,
which I think is the reason why I developed arachnophobia. Honestly, I think it is.
Oh, was it from the movie Arachnophobia?
No, I think it might have been from this. I mean, this came out in 84. I was born in 86, so I must have seen it when I was like 4 or 5, bro. This movie, like the first time I saw it. So I think that's what it was. But like now that you see it as an adult, you're like, oh, look at these little cute little robotic spiders. They're just like moving back and forth, like wiggly.
No, but the thing is that they were like dancing.
They were
like their legs were just fluttering. Like
you could play like the Mexican hat dancing, and it would like work perfectly. Like
okay, so these robots are supposed to be lethal.
Yes. These robots
they have
that
like
Luther made.
Like a double contingency plan to it or something. Because
no idea.
The first thing they try to do is inject some sort of
venom,
maybe. Right.
And then they spit
and the
acid.
Only the last one.
Only the last one's right.
Acid, right?
Because he programmed it that way.
Yeah. He was like, I'm doing upgrades.
But 2.0, baby.
The first person to get killed by these spider robots got immediately rejected, and then that same second, that robot blew up. I just remember that it happened so immediately that I thought, what was the purpose of the injection
If it's just gonna blow up.
and then the explosion kills the person? The only time I ever saw a reaction was with that female cop,
Sally,
where she gets injected and she goes,
and nobody,
like, she clearly, like, you know, goes unconscious, and then it blows up.
and nobody nobody even bothers to check the rest of the restroom to make sure that Luther didn't leave anything else in there other than the bug that they put on him.
Right.
They were just like, yeah, come in.
I can't call him Luther. This guy's clearly Batman.
Because of all the smoke,
All the disappearing
acts.
The disappearing acts. Okay, the guy that he was working with, he goes, "Oh, what about and he looks and he's not there. Oh,
Yeah.
that's the guy that gets killed by the first.
Oh,
robot.
okay. Yeah,
That's
okay.
the
So
guy.
that first guy, you could tell he's like, I want my money. The first
Yeah.
the first engineer or whatever, he's like, I want my money, and then he's like, all right, I got it here, and then the guy gets distracted by a robot, and he's like, oh wait, hold on, there's a robot, like a security robot. He turns away for literally like 2 seconds. He comes back, and the guy's gone. Luther's gone.
Luther's gone. Yeah,
No smoke bombs or nothing.
Man.
And you're like, what? And I could have sworn I thought they were like in the closet or something. It's like, oh. Oh my god.
And then the same thing in the bathroom, right?
Yeah, the same thing in the bathroom.
But then they didn't see him leave.
They didn't see him leave, and there was like they weren't like, oh, he went through this door, he exited through the window. They're just like, oh, he's not here anymore.
So Gene Simmons was the first Batman.
Oh well, yeah, I guess so. I guess so. And Gene Simmons is 100% all in this movie, bro. Like he is.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
He is like the faces that he makes and like his voice. He's just 100% taking this way too seriously. Which, you know, as an actor, obviously you're supposed to do, and you're not like.
Right.
I'm sure the script and there was like, oh, no, it's gonna be a serious, like a gritty. But I mean, it's so hilarious, bro. Like unintentionally. Okay, so they find out that Luther wants the templates, and his girlfriend Jackie has them, right? And she's in jail. And then they get to that scene. It's a really, this is one of my favorite scenes. That, and then the scene after that, where they do the bug check to make sure that nobody has any bugs, and it goes through Tom Selleck or Ramsey, then it goes to Karen, and then it goes to Jackie, Christy Alley's character, and it stops like 7 times, right? And
yes, okay,
if you notice, like it stops at her blouse, and she's like, Karen's like, all right, take off your blouse. And I was like, can't you just take off the bug? Like, you don't have to make her take off. And as a matter of fact, okay, so they take it off. And I don't know if you noticed, like the outfit she's wearing is very 80s, bro. Like,
yes,
puffy shoulders, the huge belt that holds nothing. And it's like a jacket. So she takes off her jacket and her blouse, and she's in her bra. It comes down to her chest, and then it beeps again that there's a bug in her bra, right? She turns it around. Oh, and that was the other thing I wrote down. Were those cuts and bruises from the robot, or was it from her being abused by Luther?
No, I think it's from her being abused by Luther. I don't think she's ever confronted a robot since then. Or before that.
I think it is from Luther, because if you notice, Karen and Ramsey, they gave each other a look like what's going on there, you know? And it didn't look like zaps. It looks like hits, or like a whip or something,
like lacerations,
yeah,
or something.
Yeah. Yes. Poor Jackie. Okay, so this is what I'm getting to. It goes to her blouse, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're gonna make her take off, like get naked in front of here. No, like Karen just takes it off, like from her blouse, and I'm like, you could have done that from her skirt, Oh, I'm like,
the button on her skirt.
Yeah, and I'm like, you could have done that with the blouse and the bra. You didn't have to make her get naked.
Yeah, she just ripped off the button. Like,
yeah, it's like, here's what, and then the same with the shoe.
You're clean.
And it's like, you didn't have to make her take off her bra and her blouse. You could have just.
They never actually made her take off her shoe.
No.
Now that I think about it, it just said bug found, and it just kept her there.
So then it goes to the chase scene. So basically, they're trying to move her from the precinct because they think Luther is trying to get to her. Well, he is trying to get to her. So they think like, okay, by moving her, she's going to be safe. And then they have this chase scene. And those cars are like the most 80s cars I've ever seen in my entire life, the cop cars.
Uh-huh.
They're like Ford Escorts.
They weren't even Crown Victorias.
No, like
Yeah.
look up a Ford Escort like 80s. They're the ugliest car ever. So a couple things in that scene. Autonomous cars, bro, like self-driving cars.
Yes. That was nice.
And then what was the other thing? Oh, like sentient Roombas that attack.
Okay, and they were still unreliable.
Oh, dude, like they kept going, like the way they made it seem is like they were going 100 miles per hour, but they never caught up to these cars that could probably barely go 80.
Okay, so they had the two cars.
Yeah.
One of them served as a defense vehicle, right? Because they had the laser on top that would disable these robots.
Yes.
And
and they had the cars had a heads-up display. They had a HUD screen in the front.
On both sides.
On both sides, yeah.
The front and the back.
Front and the
right?
back, yeah.
To determine if they were being targeted, right?
Mm-hmm.
So their car was consistently being targeted with Jackie in it, and these robots, these killer Roombas,
Yeah,
right?
Killer Roombas.
Right.
That's literally what they were.
Yeah, it's so funny. They did catch up to the vehicle, and they did have to disable a bunch of them up to the point where all of a sudden there's 6 of them coming from all directions, right? Even though Luther was only in the vehicle from behind,
Yes.
right? I don't know how that happened, but for some reason there's 6 of them coming at them. All right. Now, this is where all of a sudden I drew questions because. So they all knew that Jackie was the reason why they were being homed on,
Yes.
right? Or targeted.
Targeted, yeah.
So they decided to abandon car and jump vehicles onto the other police vehicle just to escape these Roombas, right?
Escape the Roombas.
So the Roombas blew up
New
that
band name.
car,
Yeah.
okay? And then they determined, oh, the Roombas were not targeting Jackie. They were targeting the purse.
Her purse. Like, that's something you would have checked way before.
But that's my issue, is that she had jumped vehicles and her purse was on her. So now the purse is on the new vehicle. But that new vehicle was not being targeted. Those killer Roombas still went for the old vehicle.
Yeah, they still blew up the old vehicle.
They blew up the car that were originally in. So for some reason they targeted that and then lost track that the purse had moved.
But then they do target the purse once Tom Selleck figures out that it's the purse.
Okay, but these are a new set of robots.
Okay.
Because those robots had already blown up by destroying that vehicle.
Yeah,
right?
you're right. Because at that point,
so now it's a new set of robots.
yeah, at that point they send like all of them, right? It's like 6 robots, yeah,
from all sorts of directions.
and it's so inconsistent on like what are they tracking?
And it was the purse because they ended up throwing the purse out the window and it blew up
the purse.
Right?
Yeah,
but they should have been dead.
By the way, those explosions don't really look that big. I'm gonna be honest with you. It looks like a firework.
Yeah, it pretty much was.
Like,
yes.
I mean, a person would be like maimed, but they wouldn't be like dead.
Yeah, they wouldn't have been dead. No.
So, so there's a part before that. The police chief is like getting on his case, like, "What are you doing, Ramses? You're no good." Like typical '80s, like a chief of police, and he tells him, "Why don't you talk to Louise or Linda, or is it Louise or Linda? Linda. Why don't you talk to Linda? She's working on that missing kid case." And I'm like, okay. And it's a psychic. Like, I'm like, where did this come? Like, this is out of left field. And like, she's right. Everything that she says, I mean, it's very vague, but also like it's right. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? Like, how do you
were brothers in a
previous life? And you will. He was like, what's his name? Louis, Lucifer, Lucius, Slippy, Slappy. Gene Simmons, the demon. And he's like, Luther. She's like, yeah, it's Luther. And then she says, like, we were brothers in another life. And he's like, oh, he's really angry at you. And it's like, well, yeah, duh.
Yeah.
Like the most big thing.
You have something he wants.
You
Yes,
have
I know that.
I know the lady. Yes, I know.
Tell me something I don't know.
And then you will meet him. He's like, yeah, I'm hoping to. Thank you. But that was completely out of left field. It's like, all right.
Yeah, that was completely in left field. It didn't make any sense. Why
Did not make any sense. They could have cut it
She
out.
wasn't in police uniform, so she wasn't a police officer.
No, she's like a
either.
consultant. I thought when the chief said, talk to Linda, she's working this case, I thought it was going to be like a therapist or something. That's what I thought. And then I see like the lady
Or
kind
like
of,
a CSI kind of
yeah, something.
person, right?
Like, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, that was very strange.
Then they go to the scene at the restaurant, which is actually, I think, a pretty funny scene too. So they're trying to, Ramsey's plan is to basically use Jackie as bait to lure Luther to him, because Luther still wants his girlfriend, but more specifically the template, so he can mass produce this terrible bullet. And they're in
Which I'm confused about, because didn't we already verify that these... Oh, no, not the bullets, but the chips were being mass-produced.
the chips were being mass produced.
Yeah, right. Never mind. Okay, go ahead. Continue.
Yeah, and then he's ordering sushi, which I didn't know people knew about sushi in the 80s. Out of nowhere, like, Ramses just kidnaps Karen. Like, what is Tom Selleck doing here? Like, he's not protecting his partner. She gets shot by one of those bullets, and it's like inside her.
Uh-huh.
And then she gets kidnapped like 2 scenes later.
And she still loves him.
She still loves it. Oh yeah. So then after she gets shot, she like insinuates like they should have dinner together, like romantically. And he's all like, yeah, I invite all my partners, like just to get to know them. Like I don't really. Yeah. And they try to, at that point, I'm like, oh, they're trying to make this a romantic thing. But like I was saying, dude, I saw no romantic connection with them. Like there was no chemistry whatsoever.
No,
but it's
very professional.
Very, at least from his part. But they don't, just them as characters, as actors, they don't have chemistry together like whatsoever. I think he had more chemistry with Jackie actually than with Karen.
He went out of his way to comment on how attractive
she was. And you're like, bro,
she's attractive.
Oh, she's attractive. I'm like, yeah, bro, she's being held hostage by a runaway robot. Might want to focus on that, buddy.
Yeah.
Not on getting some trim there, Magnum PI.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think they kind of alluded to the reason why he wanted to have more of a platonic or professional relationship
because of his wife, right?
With Karen. Because, yes, he felt like he was not ready to move on.
To move on from his wife's death.
Right. But that quickly turned around.
Which, she was in a car accident, and I thought in a movie like this about technology, that the car accidents would be like eliminated by that point. Maybe it was before they got like autonomous cars or self-driving cars. So in that scene, they do an exchange, and then Ramses noticed that he doesn't get all the templates for these bullets.
Yeah, she splits it in half, right?
And then he shoots him, and the bullets they still don't hit him twice, dude. He's able to escape the bullets.
Yes.
They make this bullet seem like some godly power, and they are in effect. They only kill 2 people two people, right? Out of like the 17 that he has, and this gun is ginormous, by the way.
Yeah, it's huge. Yes. Which is really funny because he whips it out in public.
Hey-o.
Without really thinking about it, right?
Yeah.
Like he's not even trying to conceal it. He just goes, "Look what I have.
Look what I get."
And it's this giant cannon.
Oh, and this gun is 100% 80s, an 80s gun. Like it has an 80s aesthetic, like an 80s decor to it.
It's got like the silver.
Like that's so it looks like a DeLorean. Yeah. So Luther kisses Jackie, and he straight up stabs her like at the bottom of her, like at the top of her spinal cord, like just right into like that sweet spot, like where her neck and her head meet, and she dies immediately. Poor girl.
Right.
Like, did you think she like you kind of felt like she wasn't gonna survive, right? Like you kind of like saw the writing on the wall, like, oh, she's gonna die.
Yeah. Are you crazy? He's gonna find me.
He's gonna find me.
And he's like,
be all right. Yeah, he's like, yeah, we got you. You'll be fine. Like, no, you don't know him like I do. He's crazy. He wants to rock and roll all night and party every day.
Yeah, that's right.
So then so after that, he shoots him, he escapes. And then like 4 or 5 cops come in, and Karen and Ramses are like chasing after him, and they lose him. And he's like just like in a bush. I'm like, you guys couldn't see him from the bush? Like, he has a shiny gun.
Yes.
It made it. Yeah, it made it seem like he was like 10 feet away from them, like in a bush. I'm like, guys, he's right there. But I guess it had to set up the last scene of the movie, which of course would come back to haunt him. That it's at a construction site, and he has to go rescue his son because Ramses kidnaps his son and kills Lois, the robot that Ramses and his son have, that Ramses says is like his wife or something like that.
Or pretends to be.
Pretends to be his wife.
His mother.
Sometimes his mother, yeah. So then he kills them. They go to rescue the kid, and I think this is the funniest scene of the whole movie, dude. Like, there's so many things that you're like, what is going on? And I think I audibly heard you say like, what is going on, or something like that.
Which part in particular?
I think it was with the spiders. Oh, with the spiders, because they go. Ramses has to go up in an elevator to go meet Luther. He has his kid. He lets the kid go, and the kid goes down in the elevator. Then Luther tells him, like, oh, your kid's gonna go down there. These spider robots are programmed to kill the first person that gets down there. And then he can't stop the elevator. He's yelling at his son. And then Karen comes, and she just like walks by the robots. Like,
yes, like the robots are like, I'm kind of get you.
Yeah.
She just kind of like kicks one a little bit, like,
yeah,
I'm just gonna run.
You know what the robots were like? You were with the robots. They were like, well, technically, you weren't the first person to get down from the elevator. You came from the street, so that's why we're not attacking you.
Yeah, that was very strange.
So they make these robots seem like they're really scary, but they're really not. You could kick them. Like, other than them jumping and spitting acid, they have to like inject the poison, which I guess technically would be venom. Well, like, you could just kick them.
Yeah,
which I think is what
that would be
what Ramses does at some point, like towards the end of the movie. He just kicks.
Yeah,
them.
He electrocutes one.
He electrocutes one. He puts one in
like swats one.
He swats one with his coat. And you're like, why are you even struggling with these robots, dude? They're not that big of a deal.
Yeah, and he takes getting acid in the face like a boss.
Like a boss. He doesn't even react to it, dude.
My reaction, I would be like, but no, he goes, and then he goes on his way to like climb under the elevator, all casually, slowly, because obviously there's no time pressure since the robots move very slowly. Yeah. You could hear them coming. They go.
And then, so he finally he defeats the robots, but he still has to defeat Ramses. And the elevator, I think, is going down at this point, and it stops where Ramses is.
What they were fighting, what they were struggling. Yes.
And just like Luther, Gene Simmons. We'll call him Gene Simmons. Gene Simmons'
Batman,
face.
You mean
Batman. The OG Batman.
Yes.
His face, like, he is just hamming it up, bro. His face is just like the most evil, sinister 80s grin, like, of all time. Dude, I was laughing when I saw that, because it's like, this guy is just over the top with it, and he's loving every second of it. Yeah.
And then, but see, that was so dumb though. The way to defeat him, right? So he pushes the button.
It's not even a punch. It's not even like a shot. Not even like they're fighting and struggling.
It was the stop button.
He stopped the button.
He hit the stop button on the elevator, which wasn't moving all that fast.
No.
But I could understand that the initial shock would throw you off balance for
a little bit,
a few seconds at most, right?
But they
were still going down for a while. Yeah. He hits the stop button, and that's, for some reason, flings Batman out of the elevator onto the ground, which then the spiders then get
get him. They get him with the acid. They get him with the poison, And after about
and then the
20 minutes,
minute delay on the explosion.
after Mr. Blue Blood goes and checks on him, he like does one final jump scare, which obviously we saw coming, like because he died with his eyes open, and he's like, ah! And then even Magnum PI saw it because he didn't even get scared. He didn't even jump. He was just like, whatever. And then the bugs like explode.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was
he moves away like if he knows, oh, wait a minute. He's
like, they're on a time lapse.
I should move away.
He was, then Ramses was killed essentially by his own creation. He's the Madame Curie of poisonous robot spiders. Killed by his own creation. Oh, God. Okay, so let's go back to some of the technology that's in the movie that I guess you could say they predicted or they were doing. So the smart bullets is one of them because that's a thing now.
Smart bullets, that exists. That actually exists nowadays. I remember reading an article about that maybe like 15 years ago.
Okay.
Where they had these bullets that were able to track heat signatures. Now, there's obviously this is a sci-fi film, so there's an exaggeration to it. But these smart bullets have the ability to slightly curve their path.
Yeah, I did see that.
A specific signature.
I have seen those.
So it's not like they're going to do 180 turns or anything like that, but it will deviate a little bit to make sure that it hits the target.
So then the heads-up displays on the cars, that's a thing that cars have now. I believe some Mercedes-Benz have those. Some BMWs have those.
Well, most vehicles nowadays, no. All like the new ones, they have like the speedometer
on the windshield.
And then I think I was driving my dad's car. Someone cut me off, and all of a sudden I saw on the windshield it just said brake.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah, and I didn't know that I had a heads-up display because there was nothing there. But all of a sudden, on the screen, it just said brake.
Like, you're like, oh my gosh!
I was more distracted by the brake appearing on my window than on the person that I'm about to hit because he cut me off. Which is really, it was very distracting.
It's hilarious. And let's see what else. The self-driving cars. That's a thing that is commonplace. As a matter of fact, I rented a car when I was in South Dakota. And it was a Volkswagen, a VW SUV, and it didn't drive autonomously. But when I put it on cruise control, and I'm on the highway, it would actually steer for me, like on the turns of the highway. After about 30 seconds of me not touching the steering wheel, it would tell me like turn on the steering, like grab the steering wheel. But there was parts where like I actually like would completely let go of the steering wheel and see if it would turn, and it would turn. And that's like that's standard on a car now, like the new cars. Right. And then, eventually, I mean, we're going to get to the point where all the cars are like Teslas or like, all those electric cars that just do it by itself, which I am 100% on board with. Like, I want 100% to be able to fall asleep in the car and the car just take me there. What were some other,
okay with it too.
What were some other technologies? Oh, the drones.
Yeah, the laser. Oh, the drones, and then the lasers, lasers that take out
the Roombas,
circuit boards,
and then basically just having. I mean, we haven't gotten to that point yet, but having a robot as like a home assistant, like as a maid or like as a babysitter.
Yeah, that's very Jetsons like.
Yeah, and then the AI technology that you could talk to like a computer program when he's trying to find the information about one of the guys, the engineers that died. He's just talking to it like, hey, like, shut up, like, leave me alone. He's like, would you like me to disconnect? And it's just like he's talking to like a human voice. I mean, everybody has those on their phone. As a matter of fact, my Google is probably listening to me right now, and it's gonna recommend a bunch of Tom Selleck movies or Gene Simmons records later on.
Which is really funny because people think that they're listening, but it's not listening that way.
How is it listening?
It's only listening for prompt. Right. So in your case, if I was to say, hey, Google, then it's always listening for anything that sounds like, hey, Google. Oh, okay. Then I need to react.
Yeah. Cause sometimes it'll turn on without me saying, hey, Google, but I'll say something like similar.
Hey, Googs, Magoogs. Yeah. I usually say that. I say, hey, Googs, Magoogs. And then I give my request, and then it actually listens, which is really funny. But it doesn't actually listen to your conversation and say, "Oh, this guy likes Tom Selleck movies." And stuff.
Yeah, if you search for stuff.
Well, if you do an active search, yes.
But it'll pop up like on Instagram or something, or like if you search on Google, it'll pop up on Instagram. I think one time I put something in my notes one time, like in my Samsung notes, and it showed up like in my Amazon feed or something. Like, are you looking for this? I'm like, oh my gosh, Jeffrey Bezos, how could you? I trusted you. All right, so in the spirit of this movie, I've asked ChatGPT to make some puns combining the fact that Gene Simmons is in this movie. He's a member of KISS. All right, so you want to hear some of the jokes that it came up with? These are different, bro.
Okay.
Gene Simmons did not just run away with the show. His tongue lashed the competition.
Wow. Or Jackie.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Oh, maybe that's why she has all those lacerations in her back from his tongue.
His tongue.
In Runaway, Gene Simmons was rocking and rolling with the robots.
Nice.
Gene Simmons didn't need a weapon to run away. He could just kiss the villains goodbye.
Nice.
When Gene Simmons joined Runaway, even the robots knew not to mess with the rock god. This is terrible, ChatGPT. We are not there yet. Gene Simmons made sure Runaway wasn't just about robots, but also about rock and roll rebellion. These are not puns. None of these are puns, ChatGPT.
Not anymore.
All right.
It's losing it.
It's losing it. All right, ChatGPT. Well, all in all, Patrick, what did you think of this movie?
I think it was great. Okay, so I feel like when they have so much technology that's so advanced, right? They have these autonomous robots. Now, the only time that they said we don't really use humans that much is in a construction scene, right?
Yeah.
Where they said, oh, you should look at the construction scene here. These are only robots. They don't use any humans, and they're all automated, and it runs great. I would assume that if they have technology that advanced, that a lot of the tasks that they got involved with couldn't have been handled by other robots.
Okay.
Right? For example, them going in to disable the robot with the gun.
Okay.
Right? Couldn't they just have sent
in a robot with a
high-powered laser?
They wanted to do that.
Risk a human.
Yeah. Like a lot of these things they could have just used the robot for.
Right. Or when they were trying to dissect the chip, right?
Yeah.
They could have used the robot
before it exploded.
Make incisions and it exploded, and they wouldn't have risked another human being. Which is, you know what? It's really, really funny.
Which is technology now. They use cops use robots to like either disarm suspects or bombs and stuff like that. So back to one of the things that I told you, like this movie was supposed to be set in 1984 or in the future, because
it didn't specify.
It didn't specify, but it also said like when it looked at let's see, Tom Selleck's character, his information, it said it was born in 56. So at this point he would have been 28, something like that. Yeah,
but they usually look older than
28
but nowadays.
So this is an alternate 1984 where they have all this technology, because
possibly,
like, but also it's like one of those, those kind of like Star Wars where like the technology is advanced but also like not really, like with the screens and all the digital like the pixelated like screens and all that.
Right. It was the best technology they had at the time.
They
couldn't envision anything like the tech that we have nowadays.
Oh yeah, dude! Like it would blow their minds. Like your smartphone has more memory or more computing power than they had for like the Apollo missions. Like
correct.
Like
yes,
and they had like huge computers for that, and we got all that power in the palm of our hands.
Yeah, we have much more power.
Technology is amazing. I am ready for our tech overlords. I'm ready for Jeffrey Bezos and Elon Musk to take everything over. I'm ready for it.
Yeah, because if human history has demonstrated that we can't do it on our own, so I'll welcome the robots.
I welcome our robot overlords.
Just take over and just fix everything, and then it will be good.
Yeah, right.
Just don't make us scorch the sky.
Yeah, just okay, like in the Matrix.
That's all I ask. That's all I ask.
All right. And so I honestly, my opinion of this movie has not changed. It's a good bad movie or a bad good movie. Good bad movie. It's a good bad movie, and it's still, to me, it still holds up. Like as a kind of campy movie that, they're working their best and they're trying to take it seriously, but it's unintentionally funny.
Yeah, I think that they definitely did try to make the robots seem much more scarier than they really were.
Yeah.
And that kind of made it a little bit campy. I think that was
the the dancing spiders.
Right, the dancing spiders is too much. It was too much. They didn't need to just stand there and dance, right? Like they could have just attacked, but they were like processing or something.
And they're huge.
I have no idea.
They're so huge. They're like as big as a brick. It's like if they were smaller, that would have been scarier.
Right.
Because you're like,
or maybe not. Maybe something larger is scarier.
Or maybe something larger is scarier. Well, thank you so much, Patrick. You finally saw this movie. I appreciate it, buddy.
That was a good one. That was a
good one. We'll have to do this. I got you on. I have a bunch of movies, and you're definitely going to be on again, and for sure, Jem is too.
Reoccurring guest.
Do I get
a badge or something?
Yeah, you do get a badge.
Do I get a tune the next time I get introduced?
You can make your own. You can make your own theme music and be like, "This is Patrick's theme music." It's literally just gonna be the melody of that we all go to the lobby song, which is like,
"Let's all go to the lobby."
But it's gonna be just Patrick, or like just change the lyrics or anything. Like, this is the end of the podcast. This is the end of the podcast.
We'll play around with that idea.
All right, buddy. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, it was a pleasure.